Anytime you're sitting down with somebody as great as you, it's been a few years, you've been away from the game for a while as a player. What is life like for you today, being Peyton Manning, considering the fact that you were so great, but in the same breath, it's been a while since you've been away?
It has been a while, and you miss certain things. You don't miss certain things. I don't miss getting hit anymore. I can promise you that. I had a guy ask me the other day, they said, I bet you don't miss those blind side hits, you know, when the defender just hits you right in the back. And believe it or not, people don't realize this. I actually could avoid the blind side hit, Stephen A., because when you're getting ready to throw, and all of a sudden you hear 80,000 people go, oh, you just scoot up a little bit, right? Something bad's about to happen. So I don't miss getting hit. I think what I miss more than anything is simply kind of being a part of the team. There's 53 players on an NFL team. It's the ultimate form of bonding, camaraderie, and fellowship. And we're all on a group text, me and my old teammates, but it's not the same as seeing them every single day. I miss the plane rides after a win. Nothing quite like being on a flight with 53 of your friends after this hard-fought victory. The adrenaline, the emotion, you just don't get to do those things again. I tell people all the time, next time you're on that flight and that flight attendant says, this plane cannot take off. Everyone is seated and your cell phones are turned off. That is not true. That is an absolute lie, because after an NFL game, everybody's standing up, they're high-fiving and hugging, and that plane takes off just fine. So I miss my teammates, but you find just different ways to kind of stay stimulated, stay busy. Obviously, my kids are a big part of my life, but involved in some other things. But my greatest takeaway from all the years in playing football were the relationships I made with my teammates, my coaches, the equipment managers, the behind-the-scenes support staff. That's my greatest takeaway from playing football.
We hear that all the time from players, present and former, missing the teammates, missing the locker room camaraderie, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to mention any names, but could you at least highlight and illuminate for everybody the kind of teammate that got on your damn nerves? The one that you sat up there and said, you know what? He doesn't need to be here. Without mentioning any names, give me the characteristics of a bad teammate and tell me how often you had those on your squad.
It's a great question, and I think people wouldn't be surprised to know that, especially when I played for the Colts. I had a head coach named Tony Dungy, whose philosophy was, his philosophy was, we'd rather have a guy who maybe runs a little slower 40-yard dash, that's a high-character, unselfish guy that loves football. We'll take that guy as opposed to some other guy who's super talented but is more about him than about the team. That player's probably never given. People used to say all the time, Stephen A., how would Tony Dungy have handled this type of player? Right. I said, that player is never getting on Tony Dungy's team in the first place, right? That was our philosophy. So we didn't have a lot of selfish guys. Now, look, every player can't be the same. If you have a guy who's really into himself, you try to just surround that guy and say, hey, the team is counting on you to help us. You use the words we and us as many times as you can to hopefully get him to come on board. If after a couple of years he just doesn't want to join, it's probably not the place for him. But look, the best teams that I played on, our best players, they were our hardest workers. They were the most unselfish. They put the team over self. Marvin Harrison, he practiced the hardest every day on the field. And when we draft a rookie receiver, he comes out and says, wow, Marvin Harrison's going full speed. We haven't even started practice yet. That just creates this culture. So I was really lucky. I didn't have a lot of teammates that kind of gave us those kind of problems. But look, players that, look, I get wide receivers, running backs. Look, they want the ball. The reason they want the ball is because they think that will help us win. And I get that. I want to get those guys the ball. Right. At the same time, the team has got to be the most important thing.
Is it overblown when people, whether it's pundits, whether it's people talking in the media, it's people that, you know, even in the world of sports that allude to this, is it overblown the cancerous effect an attitude, the wrong attitude can have on a locker room? Sometimes you look at a team and you go like this, they loaded. Oh, that guy might be, you know, he might be a problem, but the hell with that. They'll be fine because they got the rest of the crew. But other times you listen to coaches, you listen to executives, you listen to great players such as yourself, and they allude to how one bad apple can spoil everything. Is that overblown?
I mean, it just depends on the situation. To me, look, a good locker room, you got to have good leadership in there. Like I said, every player can't be the exact same. I mean, the good teams have all different types of personalities, but if you have strong leadership, we can get, maybe that one guy who's a little bit more about himself to kind of join forces. I think if you have a lot of those, Stephen A., that's usually when it becomes a problem. But hopefully you have strong leadership at the key positions. There's kind of a, like my last year in Denver, I guess I was kind of the offensive leader. DeMarcus Ware was the defensive leader. Right. So we felt like, if there were problems, I mean, DeMarcus and I would just go and talk to those guys, and we just say, hey, we got a special thing here. We need you to step up and help us. Usually that player kind of comes on board and kind of gets with the program.